Hi, and welcome once again to What's the Damage, companion show to the incredibly well-known and popular Real D, uh, Real D&D, both show. Roll for Damage. It's Real D&D, and they're really playing. It's our 30th episode today, which is why everything's so smooth and professional. Can you believe it? And can you believe we never repeat a topic? That will change probably, but not today. So flashing back on Friday, our Shields of Twilight returned to Cageborough after having survived their strange and disturbing encounter with some weird alien babies. After taking some time to shop and chat about fantasy inhalers and other things, they head back into the desert and came face to face once again with their most deadly and dastardly foe, the one enemy responsible for more pain, more suffering, more inconvenience than any other earthworms. Anyway, so Oriana died, but will she stay dead? We don't know. But we'll have fun speculating, and we'll have fun speculating right now. As always, stick around after the stream for links and resources. I'm your host, Truth Venson, and this is What's the Damage? Welcome back. So joining me today, we have some lovely guests, some familiar faces, and just familiar faces nobody knew. We've got Serenity, our favorite DM mom, who we all know and love. We've got Jay, who plays Campion, and we've got Jake, who plays Oriana, the recently deceased. So you guys had a lovely little shopping trip and a completely uneventful, nice, relaxing trip in the desert. What's the damage?
Actually,
Apparently purple hair.
I love this contrast because Jay was the last one who lost a character to Worm.
Yeah.
You guys can commiserate together.
Yeah, feel free.
Yeah.
Offer each other emotional comfort.
Yeah,
in
it
this
doesn't
trying
get
wormy
easier.
time.
You go into a deep depression.
Does not get
start
better.
wondering about life. No.
Oh man.
Mr. P, stop! You the real one. Okay.
Wonderful. Okay, so we'll talk about Oriana in a bit. But first we had a couple of nice character moments for Campion, who hasn't been on in a while, so I do want to talk to you. We found out a little bit more about this mysterious bounty hunter. And Jay, I was wondering, what originally gave you the idea to play a chronically ill character? Like, that's so interesting.
Yeah, yo, I thought it would have been like really cool. At that time, I was sick as well. And I was like, dude, it's really hard to breathe. And I was like, oh shit, what if my character has like really shitty like health problems? And then I was like, oh yeah, that could totally work for his backstory. And I'm like, oh yeah, he's got a weird adoptive parent, like he kind of thinks like a dwarf, but he's like a human. I don't know if you ever read the book The Watch, Discworld, The Watch, dude.
Yeah. Oh, I fucking love
And
that.
a carrot. I thought a carrot, and I'm like, what if carrot was more of a nerd? um, and had like asthma. And then
That's such
Campion
a
was
great
born, dude.
character
And I
concept.
was exactly. I was like, yeah, this is the shit, dude. I fuck with this. I fuck with this bad, man. So yeah, dude, which is cool because I've never really kind of played a character
Mhm,
with this type of like urgency before. And I feel like it's a good kind of you know springboard into kind of the campaign as well. Um, I feel like I gave enough wiggle room for Serenity overall to play with it as well, you know, um, as well as try to like allow it to be a plot device that kind of
mhm.
brings him closer and closer to the whole like the party's overall mission, so yeah.
Awesome. And what's it like? Has it been different playing like a character with a disability because you don't see those too often as PCs?
Um, in my sense, no, I don't believe so. I just feel like it just adds another foil to the
Mhm,
character. I think it's fun, especially like Campion. He's always kind of he's kind of like the friend you have that you're always kind of like nervous around because you feel like he's gonna like probably drop dead anytime soon. So you're just like, oh shit, yo, hey, you okay? You're good?
you doing fine?
Did
Yeah.
we go too fast, man? You okay? And then Campion's like, oh yeah, yeah, I'm fine.
He's like wheezing.
This is cool. Yeah, he's like, uh, you know? And yeah, camping growing up, man, he didn't really have like a lot of friends anyway. So it's like it's cool that like kind of people other than like his parents are like, hey, you okay, man? You okay, buddy? And he's like, oh yeah, it's cool, you know.
Aw, he's making friends.
Oh.
Yeah, speaking of that, you had a little bit of an exchange with Perry in the first half of the episode where she, I think, tried to make friends with you. Can you tell me a bit more about Campion's kind of mindset at this time regarding the group? Because I feel like he is having a little bit of a freak out over the abject
Oh yeah, no, he's having a
weirdness, which
major,
is the
major freak
Children of
out. See,
Twilight's life. Yeah.
there was yeah, like it was like little bits, right? Like it was the weird kind of there weren't frog monsters, but the hair like weird hairy monsters. They kind of first interacted that kind of fucked up um you know Campion and the rest of the group when they were going through I think the marsh area going towards the desert, that little area. And then then it was with Perry's kind of like cousin people. They were kind of being turned into the monsters and the whole cave thing and like everything. So slowly but surely, Campion's been like, okay, this is weird, but it's good. We're fine. And then the babies, the the abomination floating mind babies, is where he kind of went off to the edge, like you
Mhm,
know, like seeing like Call of Cthulhu, it's like, oh, this is insanity. Like I they said that they were into some crazy shit, but this is the deep end now, which like in any case would be fascinating to Campion, but it's also like, yeah, you have to think about it's life, it's now real life or death. It's things that are kind of out of his control. And then he's also dealing, ever since he's in this group, he's been dealing with these weird dreams he's never really had before. And
mhm,
he's just trying to wrap his head around everything at 100 miles an hour. And I feel like at that last minute, everything kind of did a full stop, and he's just picking up the pieces and getting shit fixed. But that kind of
mhm.
reassurance from Perry, uh, I believed was kind of the kick he needed to get shit back into gear. So yeah.
Nice. How long has Campion been with the group in game? Like 2 weeks?
Yeah, probably
Yeah.
maybe a little bit more than that. Probably
Two
around
or
like
three.
closer to 3.
3-ish weeks?
Yeah.
Yeah, lots happened.
Lots happened. Lots fucking
Lots
happened.
happened. Cool beans. He'll get it. He'll get on his feet.
Yeah.
Maybe. Well, no.
Or die trying.
Or die
Yeah.
trying.
I don't know. There'll be another worm.
I can't run worms anymore. I'm just
No.
not. There's
Bad,
just
dude.
literally done for this campaign.
The insanity.
They are a notoriously difficult creature to run.
Lovely. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Before we move on, Serenity, I actually wanted to clear something up for me personally. It's a question that I have. It's a question for me. It's my show, so I can ask questions. So, how are we interpreting the cost of material components in this campaign? So, do jewels like have inherent worth in gold that they can be priced up and down? So, is the price like in shops arbitrary?
Well, go buy a diamond ring in real life. Are you paying for, like, do you know exactly whether that diamond is that diamond worth $10,000? What are you what are you paying for, right? Like, you're not paying just the base cost. Like, you never go to a shop as a consumer generally and pay the base cost of what something is, right? They're always upcharging you slightly because they have to make a profit on something. So there are those shops where you could go to and they may give you it for the straight value of the thing. And you may find those types of merchants, or you may be able to haggle them down. But then there are places where the person is going to try and upcharge you as much as they want and get away with it. And it's their right to do so as a merchant. Whether you purchase that thing or not and know the difference is up to you. So,
Yes.
so yeah, it's not really so much as like playing around with it. It's just like, I'm a merchant. I'm in this kind of a city where these kinds of things are hard to get. I'm going to try and get as much out of you, especially if you're stupid and not going to ask any questions and not try to haggle me, which they didn't. They were just like, okay. So that was like what happened there is he had items for sale and the group purchased what was given to them. They never asked a question. They never tried to haggle the price down.
I mean, I tried to haggle a bit with the jade.
Did you?
With the jade, but the jade wasn't something he he had no need for that.
No, I know.
Right?
I know.
So it's up to the players to do that. But again, like, yeah, anytime you go to buy something, there is going to be sometimes a slight upcharge in cost of whatever you're buying.
It's economics, man. You know.
So when it comes to magic, it's like whatever the fair price for the jewel is, not whatever the actual price is.
No, so it's whatever. So for magic, it's whatever the actual cost, whatever the actual value is of that thing. So he charged $450, but the actual value of that diamond was only 300 gold. So it can only be used for, say, a revivify spell. They could not try, like, let's just say I charged them 500 for it. They could not then use that for Raise Dead because it isn't actually worth 500 gold. They need 500 gold.
How do you adjust for things like inflation, though? Like, this is getting way too into the economics of your world.
I mean, based on the fact. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, I was going to just comment on the fact that I don't know if inflation actually can technically happen because they use a gold-based system. It's all set values. There's only a set amount of gold in the world. It's not like paper money where you can just print more and say, no, this is worth the same much as this.
I guess, but is every country on the exact same gold standard? Because like prices would vary from region to region, you would think.
I mean, generally, like a gold is worth a gold, right? Like I'm not going for them to go to like I mean, so far they've been in Dash and they've been in Seratan, and like I never said, well, actually, your gold is only worth 0.5 of a gold in Avonhurst, and it's worth 1.5 of a gold in Sarah. Like,
your gold's no good here.
So I mean, generally in D&D, you try not to get into the economics of it all. So I don't do that, but I do sometimes have merchants that will try to either get more or be willing to be more be haggled, or also be willing to trade. They didn't really have anything for him that was going to get him to reduce the cost. And that's the other thing in D&D. You often can barter with some like merchants. They're willing to take certain items if they're interesting to them or worthwhile. He was like, he was like a magic weird antiquities item seller. And he was like, no, I don't really need that.
He was very fun sounding. Thank you for indulging me. That was fully me overthinking fantasy economics. Lovely. Okay, Jake. So actually I wanted to touch on something from a little bit while back. So the party sort of discussed what the mysterious figure had said re Dobby's immortal soul and the possible torture of it, and how he's definitely suffering right now in some kind of weird hell, you know. So Oriana's been dealing with a lot of guilt regarding that and other things. So I kind of wanted to get her perspective on the potential whatever's happening there.
Well, I think her thoughts on the matter are perfectly encapsulated by the fact that she knew this guy would probably be able to kill them if he really wanted to, and she still wanted to try and counterspell his teleport. Yeah, she was not happy hearing that, to say the least. Again, it's a really weird sensation for her, because it's not like Dobby and her were super close, but she wanted to be able to form that friendship with him. She wanted to be able to build that relationship. And then just being robbed of it, like right out of the blue, right after she's decided, no, this is worth my time and effort. I am going to build a relationship with this person. And then just having them ripped away from you. Really, really hurt her. And it really hurt her specifically because she tried her hardest to save him and she couldn't. He was just gone. He was just in the mouth of the creature. She couldn't see him to cast the spell and all that. So yeah, hearing that this guy is basically toying with Dobby's soul, torturing it, licking it, eating it, boiling it, who knows what he's doing, is very, very personal for her. She's going to take that very, very personally. She's already been working, like, in her downtime, just trying to figure out, is there a way I can somehow bring Dobby back still? Which would be, canonically, the reason why she would eventually try to learn Wish. Yeah, no, this hit home, and it hit hard.
Cool. Jay, you were making a couple faces there. Do you have thoughts?
No, dude.
Very expressive.
I mean, yo, dude, Dobby, you know, that, like, seeing that Oriana wanted, you know, that friendship with Dobby, man, that hit right here, man, you know. Yo, for real, man, I really wish, you know, Dobby would have made it.
They've been so chaotic together.
But hey, man, fuck it, you know. Yeah, dude. Yeah, it sucks that, you know, his soul is getting tortured for eternity. But hey, fam.
I shudder to think what a 9th level spellcasting Oriana and Dobby could get into had they become close friends and allies.
Oh, like, so much bullshit, dude. Yeah, dude.
One of the things,
dude.
So one of the spells I took, I haven't had a chance to use it, was Greater Invisibility. And she wanted to give Dobby a way to attack things while invisible. So I kept that spell around for her because it still made sense for, you know, give it to like Cynric or something, or even Campion, now that she knows that he's a, you know, real good fighter when it comes to long ranged attacks. But that originally was why she took that spell. That's why she was practicing that spell, and when she finally got 4th level spells, she got it.
That's so sad.
Yeah.
It would have been perfect for a rogue monk too.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, yeah. I would have been able to go invisible, and then just like shadow jump everywhere. The shenanigans was, dude. Oh, so good.
Oh well. Yeah. So moving on to
his own form.
Worm battle.
Yeah.
Point 2. So Oriana, that battle was tough for you from the beginning.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't even know really where to begin with this, in all honesty. It was very upsetting, very, very tragic. And I think I'm not sure what hurts the most about it still. I guess we'll wait to see, you know, there's still a chance. There's still options available. But I think the thing that hurts the most about it is the fact that there really wasn't anything I could have had her do that would have changed the outcome. It was just all on the dice. The failed death save,
The fact that you didn't get that extra health because you were out of range.
the fact that I didn't get extra health.
Going
it was
invisible
all
might have been
pure.
the only possible thing you could have done.
Well, even then, the worm has blind sense when it's
Yeah, but if
underground,
it
doesn't
comes out and it doesn't really know who to that's true. It has blind sense, but it also has eyes, I think, as well.
Yeah. Again,
But
like,
there wasn't really. Yeah.
We Serenity and I, after we play, we always just talk and chat about the session and everything. But after like everybody else had left, I specifically asked to talk to Serenity, and we basically ran through the whole fight, and we tried to figure out what could have gone differently that was within our control, and we couldn't come up with an answer. It literally just came down to her randomly rolling to see who got hit. It happened to be Oriana. Oriana happened to fail that first death save. The only thing we could come up with that really would have changed an outcome is a different dice roll. And at the end of the day, you can't plan for that.
Well, and like one or two other things, but I'm not going to bring it up because in the moment, for players to know every single thing that they could do, and they're panicking and they only have so many seconds to kind of like, it was a bad situation.
You guys are so dedicated to D&D. Like,
it was not
when a game ends, I just go play video games. Like I forget instantly what happened.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I get being attached to a character. It sucks when you're watching this character's story unfold over like 40 some sessions, which is like 4 hours a session. That's like what like 160 hours of play. That's a lot of time, right?
And don't even like think about like all the man hours that like would go into the DM thinking about storylines.
Yeah, it sucks for me. When that happened, first of all, I thought Oriana was alive because I thought that the extra HP that Oriana had, I was like, okay, this can still work out. Yeah. And then he was like, "Oh, I took the extra HP from the healing word," and I was like, "Oh no, you didn't get that."
Yeah, I shouldn't have said anything. That was the one thing I
should have
just lied and like, I had 32.
Fine.
And honestly, that would have made had she been up for one more round, that would have made all the difference. Because Cynric got inside, and he was able to get the worm to regurgitate them like right after, so she would have had one more chance, and there were people around that could quickly, healing hands her or whatever. And sometimes that's all it is. It's like, and as a DM, you're like stuck there. Like there is literally nothing I could do at that point. After those dice were rolled and I said the damage and then that happened, I was like, there is at this point, I can't do it.
Wiggle room.
There's nothing. I got to play the creature. And honestly, I was like, well, this creature, then they killed all of the void worms, which broke what was agitating it, and I had to make them roll a d20 to see if is this creature going to keep fighting these things, because it's confused as shit. It doesn't want to be here, and it ate something but doesn't really know what's going on, and it's not going to be like, oh, sorry, it's just going to keep going. And so that was what that d20 roll was for, is this thing still going to keep fighting? And thankfully they rolled high enough and it did stay there. It only had its fight or flight mechanism triggered when it was literally about to die. But yeah, it was just one of the, I mean, it really wasn't meant to be an encounter to fight the worm. And unfortunately, they went into a sandstorm where they couldn't see very well and tried to message creatures they didn't know what they were messaging. Which can work to your advantage sometimes, can also work to your detriment. And they couldn't see them either. Those void worms could not see them. They don't have tremor sense. They're flying and floating in the air. So that message triggered them to be like, oh, there's something here. Off we go. We're coming towards it.
No, sure did.
But again, we didn't know any of that.
No, exactly.
So we couldn't have planned for it. So yeah.
But you did choose to go fight a worm, which you lost a party member from in the middle of a sandstorm, knowing you can't see, knowing they can sense you under the ground.
I just tried to keep away from the worm. That's all I tried.
No, but you I'm saying you were anyways, all I'm saying is sometimes hindsight is 20/20. And
moral of the story is worms suck. Avoid them.
They
worms
do.
suck, dude.
Yeah, but there's still hope for Oriana, though.
There is.
We'll see. Do you have another character planned already if you don't pull through?
I almost don't want to say because I don't want to jinx it, but yes, I do.
Okay.
I do have another character
Yeah,
planned.
don't, because you are gonna jinx it. Trust me.
Okay,
Oh,
that's enough. That's enough.
Yeah,
Question and
I
answer.
wasn't gonna go into detail. Just yes.
Okay.
Not allowed
What are
to.
you gonna? I'm curious though. What are you gonna do if Grandpa Asmodeus actually saves you? 'Cause that would be very interesting.
Old Grandpa
I'll-
Asmodeus, yeah, I'm talking to him.
That actually was something that Serenity and I talked about after the session too, of a what would happen if Oriana manages to get brought back. What would that mean? I'm not entirely sure what she's planning with it, but just going off of Oriana in her dying moments, what she thought, if he is directly responsible in some way, and she knows he is directly responsible in some way for saving her, in her mind, that proves to her that it's possible for him to be redeemed. And the thing that Lex had told her about maybe your story is about the redemption of a god has stuck with her ever since Lex told her that. And Lex mentioning that she had seen it done before. I have my own theories as to what's going on there, but I won't share them yet. So yes, if Asmodeus for some reason intercepts her soul in the afterlife from going to wherever the curse takes the souls and manages to get her back to her body somehow, yeah, she's willing to listen to him. She's willing to hear him out. She's willing to do what she can, and that was the reason she apologized. Said she was sorry to Ayun because she wants to follow Ayun, but she knows she's about to die. She's gonna try anything in her power.
Why did she ask Ayun then? Did you think Asmodeus was more likely to answer?
Interesting question.
In Oriana's mind, Ayun has already kind of shown that she's watching out for Oriana. The book came back. She's gotten the message from Ayun before. She knows that it's her purpose to walk the path of Ayun. The apology was less like, I'm sorry, I'm going to go with Asmodeus, and more of like, I'm sorry I wasn't able to walk the path. I should clarify that. And a olive branch to Asmodeus of, I'm willing to listen if you're there. Sort of thing. Like this isn't her pledging her undying soul. Well,
it kind of is.
It kind of is.
A little bit.
Okay, Big Daddy Asmodeus wants his due. Okay.
Big Daddy Asmodeus.
To clarify, this isn't her saying I'm taking a level into Warlock Asmodeus, save my soul. This is her
that
acknowledging that she has come up short. That I know of, yes. This is her acknowledging to both gods that she has come up short, and she's willing to listen. She's willing to try anything. Because she's been playing around with that idea of Asmodeus for a while now, pretty much since Baltaim talked to her about it. She was kind of iffy about it at first, but then with the Lex conversation, like I said earlier, she's much more not necessarily open to the idea, but thinks it's an interesting thought. Like, what if, supposedly he's Ayun's nephew, right? That was what he was. Yeah. Maybe her story is to repair the relationship between them. Maybe it's to redeem.
She could have completely done what Quinn is doing,
I don't know if it would be that direct of worshiping two gods at the same time, but she may be able to bridge the gap between them. Perhaps.
Yeah, no, definitely, yeah.
Because it doesn't seem like Melora and Bane hate each other. They just represent different ideas. They care about each other in a way. Bane literally told Quinn, if you break her heart again, I will crush your soul.
I will crush your soul!
But with Asmodeus and Ayun, it almost seems like there's more of a rift between them. So maybe that is Oriana. Maybe she is the bridge.
Family
Fascinating.
Drama. If she survives this.
Yeah. I don't want to affect your play anyway, but I desperately want Oriana to take a couple levels in Warlock. That'd be so funny.
I've thought
I want
about it.
everyone to take two.
I don't know what would be beneficial in the build, and I don't know why Oriana would do it necessarily.
Because she owes somebody now.
Yo,
I mean,
dude,
if
fuck
there's a
those,
story reason that works out for it, she'll do
beneficial.
it. But I just the build, it doesn't make sense for her and what she wants to do. Like, I mean, she wants to learn, she wants to develop knowledge. The lore bar is perfect for that.
Hey.
We'll
I
see. I'm not saying it's impossible, but
Yeah,
we'll
we'll see. We'll see. We're counting our
maybe
chickens
PM
anyway.
maybe
Right, you are counting your chickens.
yeah, we're talking about things and we don't even know if it's gonna
Wow,
happen.
Wonderful. Okay, we spent a lot of time on that. Serenity, could you real quick tell us a little bit about designing Worm Fight 2 Revenge of the Mother Worm?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't supposed to be a fight, really. I knew how deadly this creature was, so it wasn't the same type of worm that I had thrown at them when they were like level 5 or 6 or whatever. This was a much larger worm, and much deadlier.
Big worm.
It was, and I fully expected them to be overly cautious. So when I said the sandstorm was coming in and it was going to affect their visibility, I 100% thought that they were going to like just hunker down and like put up the dome and be like, we're just going to wait it out. The other thing I really thought for them was like Quinn, Chad had already asked me like when he was about to take off his armor, he's like, how much further do we have? And I was like, well, you don't know. I was like, you've gone, you'll be hitting like the 4-hour mark soon. You don't know if it's at the 4-hour mark, if it's at the 6-hour mark, if like, you don't know when you're going to run into this thing. And so I thought also that mindset they already had was like, okay, we're going in a really bad situation. Don't want to tip the scales against us, knowing how dangerous these things can be. And so I figured, okay, I'm going to tell them this. I'm going to say it's not that bad. It's going to affect their visibility. They'll just like hunker down in their dome, and like wait it out. They didn't. And then they kept going. And I was like, okay, now you see this like valley. And the storm's coming. Are you going to go? What are you going to do? They like hummed and hawed and they're like, no, we're just going to keep going. I was like, are you sure? You're going to keep walking? Okay, can't see anything. Okay. Then they did okay. Like they didn't do amazing on their perceptions, but they did okay. And there what like the whole point. So the whole point of that encounter was to take out the void worm silently. Because they float and they are not on the ground, and they have really low HP. It was meant to like pick them off or get them to come towards them, but the worm wouldn't have any idea because they would be far enough away that it wouldn't be able to sense them on the sand. And they have a lot of range. Like Campion has really great range. Quinn has like 120-foot spell. So does Oriana. Baltaim and Oriana both have Eldritch Blast. And so I figured they'll figure this out, but they walked right in. And then even then I was like, okay, well, they're not close enough yet. When the message happened, that was a signal to the void worms to communicate and say like, go. And that started the battle, unfortunately. So it wasn't meant to be an encounter for them to like all out brawl. And I knew it was going to be deadly if they did. It actually wasn't set as I think it was set as like a hard encounter, but like one hit from that worm is so massive. But like, if you see like Sinric took out 3/4 of its health in like 3 rounds or 2.5 rounds almost. So like the problem it was dying. It had like 32 HP. It did. But what I'm saying is like if they were all able to focus it, which they weren't because they couldn't see, and it kept like going under the ground, they could have taken it out probably pretty quickly. And it might have downed one of them or something like that. It was just an unfortunate situation, but that was kind of how it was designed. It really wasn't meant to be an all-out run forward and fight this thing. And as for the little worms, the thing that I was hoping for They were cool little like homebrewed creatures. When they bite you, they can do like a weird kind of effect. It only lasts for a round, but actually some of them were like, one of them is like it gives you 2d6 temporary hit points.
Interesting.
Because they've got this weird, they're like weird aberration like creatures. And yeah, I was like, I really wanted to see these effects, but the DC is super. Again, those were supposed to be super easy creatures to take out. The DC was like 11, so they all were beating it no problem. And then the one person who failed, I think, was Campion, and then he just used his font of inspiration or whatever, the intelligence thing that he gets. So it didn't work out, but most of the statuses were not great. It was like, oh, you drop prone, or you get like, you go blind for a round or something like that. But there was a couple that were like actually good for you. I think one actually like levitated you off the ground.
Cool. So like really chaotic little world.
Yeah, it was chaos. It was meant to be like very like wild magic-y. Yeah.
Cool. Okay. With that, we're going to transition into our topic for today. So we didn't get to talk about Campion. It was very fun how he was floating around like little dandelion puff during the battle.
That was hilarious.
It was
like,
fun.
oh, bye.
I Campion.
Dude, I was like, yeah.
I love after you did it. You were like, oh shit, wait. I was like, no.
Wait, yeah. That's like.
I mean, it wasn't a bad place to be considering his range.
No, he ended up being fine, but it was just funny.
Yeah.
I saw his face after he did it. He was like, fuck.
I was like, okay. Okay. So our topic for today is ending campaigns. Obviously, a lot of campaigns don't go all the way to the end. They trickle off, or they peter out, or something happens. It's pretty rare, I think, for people to manage to get all the way to the end, but the end is what we're talking about today. So first, just quickly, Serenity, how far along are we in the current Shields of Twilight campaign? Are we close to endgame? Are we like halfway through? What's the basic idea? I assume we're like halfway through, maybe.
Oh, not even a third of the way.
Oh, so we've got a while to go. Cool.
I'm envisioning this campaign will probably be around 150 to 200 sessions.
That's so many. Okay, so don't worry, fans. We'll be with you for years yet. Cool beans. Okay, so have any of you run a campaign to its natural end or played in a campaign that ended naturally?
I played in one.
Either both? Mm-hmm.
Played in one. I haven't run one to the end. There's always something that happens that people's lives get in the way, have kids, can't get together anymore, and things break up. So. But I played in one.
Honestly, I've never done one. I've never even ran one. Oh, dude.
Yeah, it's hard.
No, I can't say that.
Oh, damn! I feel super embarrassed.
No, it's a natural thing for D&D.
It's really
like
hard.
A lot of people's campaigns like, never end.
Yeah. I've done both actually. I've both played in a campaign that and managed to end my own campaign. It was such a struggle. I lost half my players by the end. Serenity managed to come back for the last game. But yeah, endings are hard. Cool beans. So those of you who are currently running, which is Serenity and Jay, I don't think you're running anything currently. Don't believe so. So do you currently have an idea of how your campaign is going to end? No spoilers, but
I can tell you how I could right now, if I wanted to, tell you exactly how it's going to end, and exactly how each of the players' backstories would play out.
I have a general idea of how my campaign's going to end, and I have a general idea of how this campaign is going to end.
You have no idea how this campaign's going to end.
No, I do. See, Tharizdun's going to rise from the shadowy pit that he was summoned from, and then a worm's going to come along and eat him.
Okay.
Return the worm.
The world-eating worm. The world serpent.
Worm. Yeah, Ragnarok.
Yep, that's right. World serpent. Yeah, Jorgen Mander.
I say we fuck up and then somehow we get thrown into the future and have to deal with like the consequences.
Oh no.
Yeah, or by the time you're like level 14, if Orion is still around, she gets the dream spell where she takes you all to another realm, and then we're
Oh,
just in
yeah,
a
that
totally
one,
different campaign. Dream of the Blue Veil or whatever it is.
Yeah,
Just start over.
Oh
Wonderful.
god, dude.
Alternate
Tanya is
reality.
so last season.
An alternate
Let's go to
reality where
Forgotten
you're all
Realms.
in a pop band. I am serious. You use that spell,
Okay.
you're going to be in a very different place.
You're very funny.
I mean, you say Oriana being in a pop band. Like, I mean, I'm like, where's the downside, really?
Yeah, I'm
Well,
saying you do
chokes
it
on stage.
You do that, the campaign's going in a very different direction. But yeah, I have a general idea. Like, obviously, you have to be flexible and determine, like, if I felt like players were getting fatigued, or I was getting fatigued, or it just didn't feel like we were finding like a logical place to go. I could flexibly shorten the campaign if I needed to, and I could tie things up if I needed to. And I think as a DM, you kind of always have to be willing to do that and like move things around. But I have like an end game of like where I want them to get to and kind of like what I want them to experience.
Yeah, the bow you tie up the loose ends, and it's not always messy, but at least it's a knot. It's usually messy, at least it's not, is what I mean. Cool beans. So how early in a campaign do you usually have an idea for what the final leg is going to look like and what the eventual end is going to look like? Do you like right at the beginning, or starts for Serenity?
I knew that. Well, I write a beginning, a middle, and an end. So I have like usually 3 campaign arcs that I always do. It's kind of like writing like a novel or a story. You always want to have like your pieces, and then you can move things around within those various pieces. But you want to have your general arcs that like tie the rest of your story together, and then you can thread players' backstories like through those various different arcs and stuff like that, which is what I'm trying to do now. So we're actually, the reason I'm saying it's not even a third of the way done, we're still actually in campaign arc 1 right now.
Yeah, for me, I've the 2 campaigns. I've done the Serenity way where I had everything. I mean, a lot of fucking things planned out, dude. Documents on documents. And it was going, man. I had 3 arcs. I had chapters for arcs, man. It was a saga. It was a saga. And then in the other one, I went completely freeball. Anything was possible, and I felt, in my sense, I like both, but I find the freeball intriguing. It keeps you as a DM on your toes. I mean, yeah, you can't go like too wild out there, but as long as you keep it grounded, and you kind of set some rules beforehand of like the world and everything, and boom, just go for it and have fun, because like your players are going to have fun, and then you are going to have fun building this world with them. It's this kind of cohabitation, and I feel like
You mean
that's
collaboration?
really intriguing.
I mean, you're
collaboration, man. I'm tired,
in
man.
the universe.
Got a new J-ism. Got a new J-ism.
I know it was between cohabitation and collaboration. It was collaboration. I love it.
I mean, put it in the dictionary.
Yeah.
Let's just make a dictionary.
We need a J-isms dictionary.
Yeah. Oh my god.
We're gonna start making one, Jay.
What if we had like little magnets so we could?
We're gonna have J quotes.
You're gonna have J quotes.
Yeah. We'll sell them. We'll sell them as merch, man.
Yeah.
And sell them as merch. It's not even it's not Dobbyisms. It's literally J.
No. I was gonna say like a subsection of the book be Dobbyisms.
Yeah, there you go.
Like the little blurbs. Like the little blurbs that Wizards puts in all their books from the authors. Yeah.
Oh, Jay, never change.
My situation is actually pretty unique because the current campaign I'm running does not have any of the same players as what started, or were the second group of players. It's currently on everybody who is in a third group of players. So nothing that I had planned from the original is even there anymore, because none of the stories even relate back to what I wanted. The BBEG has completely changed. a lot of the story beats are still the same. There's still a lot of things that I wanted in the world that I've kept, but now I've adjusted a lot of them to fit the players that are in. So for me, I used to DM like not necessarily knowing who what I want the whole story to be. I have an idea of where I want to end, and I have an idea where I want to begin, and I want to see the crazy shit that the players get up to along the way.
Mm-hmm.
But I think over the years, I've realized kind of how hectic that style of DMing is. And I think I'm going to move more towards probably like what Serenity does with a beginning arc, a middle arc, and an end arc. I used to just think like 10 to 12 sessions at a time and put those as arcs. And that just seems way too chaotic looking back. There's not really a direction. If the party ignores certain details, then a plot line doesn't happen. If a party gets way caught up on a minor detail I didn't have anything planned for, but it was just a tease for the future, all of a sudden I'm doing something that was supposed to be later, but now it's now. So I think I'm definitely going to migrate more towards that side, beginning arc, middle arc, end arc.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
I also love foreshadowing, and I find like if I'm going session to session, or if I'm kind of like MMOing it, where it's like the players are kind of dictating what the story is, it's a lot harder for me to foreshadow things because I don't even know how they're going to end it, right? Like you may have like some vague idea, but you don't really know. Like with the way that I have everything set up, like there have already been plenty of things that have been foreshadowed that they'll see later, and they'll be like, well, shit.
Like Oriana's mom being a spellcaster.
Or like even the small things, like I foreshadowed the fallen star and they came to the city and they're like, oh. But like, like I really enjoy those kind of moments because I feel like that makes you be more diligent in like taking in the details of the story and being like, is this something like that's going to show up later? And then being excited or intrigued when it does. And I find that that's harder when you're just kind of like piecemealing everything together and you don't have a full clear picture. But
yeah. What do you think is a good way to pick an ending time? Like, do you plan campaigns to go to a certain level? Do you have a date in mind? Like, the reason my campaign ended was I moved to a different time zone and could no longer run it. So I just I had to jettison more than half my plot and hopefully wrap it up in a way that made narrative sense-ish. But if you have the flexibility to pick an end, like what's the marker for that?
I always try to set the goal. I just always tried to set the goal higher than I ever expect to, which is let's make a level 20 campaign. And if I see that interest is dying off, maybe we start shortening it then. Plan for longer than you really expect to go. And then you can always kind of end it if there's a dying interest. The problem I've always run into running campaigns is that people just disappear off the face of the map. They don't even say, oh, I'm losing interest. It's they're one session, they're gone. You never hear from them again. Literally, in some cases, I had one person tell me they needed to take a week off, and then they deleted they deleted their Roll20 account, they deleted their Discord. Like, I have no idea what happened to that person. They just dropped off the face of the earth.
Amen.
So that's what I usually find is sort of the limiter, is that people just end up disappearing. So one of the good things about Roll20 and doing it digitally is that you don't have to have that problem of everybody's in different time zones, we can't play anymore. But it also makes it harder for people to just stay around. Like the fact that our group, which I'm going to refer to as Jay, Serenity, Chad, Laura, and I, have been together for a year and a half now, is like mind-boggling to me because I've never had a group last this long.
Yeah, Truth and I have known each other. We met through Roll20 on Friends.
We know each other for like 4 years.
Yeah. Can you believe that?
Yeah, it's been forever.
Right?
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's kind of amazing.
We've been in and around D&D together for a while. Crazy.
Yeah, for me, I like so many of the most exciting, like D&D gets really unbalanced late game, but so many of the most exciting parts and pieces and facets of D&D are super high level. And I feel like that's where the real like epic fantasy comes out. Like that is where you are like, Lord of the Rings, fighting Sauron, doing the like epic shit, having those like major battles, and really feeling like you're either OP or like you're getting to do that like movie-esque action scene kind of like stuff. And so I try to push for that. But also that's like also a little bit selfish on me because some of my most favorite like encounters and monsters and stuff to run are like high level, and you can't get to that unless you get people there. But the other nice thing about like milestone leveling is if you feel a campaign is starting to like wane and you need to get people to like a higher level, you can just be like, yeah, you get a level. And you can like still get to level 20. It just may not be in the same number of sessions that you originally thought. It may be in 75 sessions, maybe in 50, just because you're going really fast. And you can still get those like final few encounters that you want. I think it really, like I don't have a date. I have just a general arc of like where the players need to go and what they need to do. And it's really on them how fast or how slow they want to get there, and what they want to explore and what they want to ignore. Like they didn't have to do all of these things. They could have just been like, fuck you, Lex. Like we're not going to do this stuff. And what that would have meant in the campaign, yeah, it might have been an encounter later on, or it might have been fine, she doesn't help you or whatever. But it doesn't mean that the campaign ends and like you can't progress forward. It just would have been a different story beat, and it would have meant something different. Same with like not doing their thing for Erin. They got what they needed out of her. Maybe she doesn't help them anymore, but like they got the ritual out of her. Like, so all I'm saying is I like the fact that the players kind of can dictate how fast or slow they want to get through things. But I find that if players are engaged in a story and a campaign in a world, they'll generally want to go be like, I want to see what this is. Like, I want to figure this out, and often spend sessions doing stuff that you were like Jake said, I thought this was a minor detail. I didn't think this was going to be important, and it ends up becoming like a 4 or 5 session adventure arc because the players are super interested in it. So yeah, I don't have a set date, but I will try to make sure that this campaign has a natural conclusion and every character gets sort of their due, so that they feel like they've had a full growth in story and who their character was.
Yeah, for me, a little bit with Serenity, I always try to, I want to make sure that every character has a time to shine. And so I will make story beats to where characters get to have that kind of resolution with their characters. And once I'm usually done with everyone, then I would have the overall arcing end arc, and then boom, completed with that. I mean, you can also have just characters just like, oh shit, I want to follow this guy. He seems like an interesting person, and then you got to pull shit out of your ass. But yeah, I feel you always gotta make sure that all of your players have that juggling act, that everyone's kind of being intrigued to the levels of where they want to be, and then end it when you feel like you've kind of squeezed the last juices from the lemon.
That's right. Yeah. I also talked to all the players beforehand too, and I was like, "What?" Like, I think that's something also important because some players don't want to play to epic level. Like, I've played with people who are like, "I don't like D&D past level 10 because it gets so unbalanced. Like, I don't enjoy it." And so it's something that I think you talk with your players about and say like, "Well, what are you looking for in a campaign? Like, do you guys care? Do you want to go to level 20?" I did talk to these guys about it, and I said, "Do you want to go to level 20?" I even considered maybe going like even higher and doing epic, but I'm like, no. I think our first campaign we'll finish it.
It gets a little unbalanced after 20, just because.
Well, it gets unbalanced long even before 20. But like but it's something that I debated, but yeah, I talked to them about it, and we agreed like, yeah, we want to see this out to its like epic conclusion. So that's what I'm building. But if down the road, by session 60, everyone's like, man, this is kind of dragging. I kind of want to make a new character and do something new. I can always figure something out and see a logical conclusion for the rest of the group.
Yeah, sort of speaking of that, or Yeah, in general, how flexible do you need to keep your ending just to kind of like, because obviously players will always do unpredictable things you cannot foresee. And of course you can have like all this sort of like all roads lead to Rome technique, which I'm personally fond of. But like, yeah, how flexible is your ending to incorporate what weird shit the players do in the beginning and the middle?
I think that depends on like how involved their story is with what's going on at the end. Like if what's going on in the end of the game, the ending arc, is completely unrelated to what your characters do, which that is a way to do it. You know, you could just have that. It's the next problem that's come up, and it just so happens to be a world-ending calamity. And you guys are the most powerful people around. You guys got to stop it. Then I don't think you really need to have sort of a backup plan for it. Whereas if you're having the BBEG show up throughout the entire campaign, then it's a problem of, well, you need to make sure that BBEG doesn't die. Or if they do die, there's a plan in place. Like it's a wizard and they used clone or something like that. There are ways around it, and there are methods that are inbuilt into the mechanics to make sure that you can make a plan work as a DM. But I guess it just depends how involved is the story.
Yeah,
For me, I believe. Oh,
no, go ahead.
Yeah. For me, I believe it depends on just what you want to do. I will throw an idea out the fucking window if I believe it's not going there. Because at the end of the day, you can always hold that in your back pocket. Like I believe your party is what story you need to focus on right now. And once their story is done, you can do a fucking time skip in the same fucking world. And the big bad is just still like in the fucking background. And you can just have a next generation, that is assembled of either characters that still want to continue, or like you have a group of new people. But understand that your world is always think about your world is constantly evolving, and that while your characters are just a small finite piece of that, other shit is going on, dude. So anything is fucking possible, man. Honestly, at the end of the day, it's what you just want. You think what's cool, or you just think that the story beat that you kind of want to hit at the end. That's fucking it.
Yeah, I think I'm like super flexible. Like I know how I want. If we go to that very epic level, how I would want that to end. But I think I've put enough things in place that if the characters and the players were like, we're happy at level 12, like where we are, or like we see a logical conclusion, I could easily make a logical conclusion there that would then branch out with other facets of the world that could potentially handle, what other things are kind of going on and stuff like that. And it's not just all on their shoulders, and if they don't do what they need to do, everything ends and the world doesn't exist anymore. Yeah. Um, that being said, I also like consequences for things that happen as well. So based on their choices, things shift and change in the world as well. But I think as a DM, you have to be flexible because, like Jake said, one day a player may just be like, my mom's sick, or my family's moving somewhere, and I'm not going to have access to the internet for the next 4 months, and I can't play, and if that starts to happen and starts to affect the rest of your game, like you have to figure out, okay, like how are we going to make this work, and how are we going to like logically conclude this. I find like going on hiatus never works. You go on hiatus and you never come back to that same game again.
It's like taking a break in your relationship. That just means you're breaking up.
Exactly. Like you're on hiatus. And you're like, yeah, we'll come back to this. And then when everyone, even if it's the same group and you all get back together, you're just like, no, we want to start something new, man. Like I got a better, and like new classes have come out, new subclasses. People want to try this new thing. And they're like, nah, I want to play something different.
Whole new ideas.
Yeah.
Fuck.
So it's like I find like you can never really go on hiatus from a campaign, and jump back in. So you kind of have to find a logical conclusion to where you are, or let it drop.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's our time for today. Do you guys have any final thoughts on finals before we close out?
They do not know what's coming for this finale. I can say that.
My little bit of advice, always keep ideas. Just like a little idea, I guess, jar or folder or whatever, dude. Like because you can always plug and play it somewhere else. Good ideas, are very far and few between that you can kind of like keep, but always be willing to hold on to that.
That's great advice in general. Cannibalize your own stuff.
That's right.
Just steal from yourself. It's fine.
Steal from yourself, and then it's not stealing. It's just recycling.
It's just recycling. There you go. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, thank you guys for joining me tonight. Thank you to the viewers for tuning in. Thank you to Sunburn Lady Meows for doing our theme and our logo. Stick around, look at the links that we've got. They're still important, stuff's still happening. The inauguration is tomorrow. Please stay safe if you're in the United States, and stay safe if you're not in the United States too,
COVID.
Yeah, because COVID. And good night. We'll see you next week.
Yeah,
Bye.
see you on Friday for
See you
the
guys.
Conclusion.
Send all your nat 20s to saveoriana.com.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, donate a nat 20 today.
See you guys later.